And we are live, and it's my good fortune today to welcome our guests, Erin and Kingsley Edwards from Flote. Hey guys, how you doing today?
Hey,
Great. Yeah, so happy to be here with you. Sorry again about last week, but I'm glad we're here now.
Oh, it happens, man. I used to run companies too before I became a one-man show, and to be honest, I'm kind of happier now because stuff like that doesn't happen as much. But I'm glad y'all are here today. We did have Kingsley on before, and I just want to kind of, for people that maybe didn't get that, let's just start out with what made you guys start Flote in the first place. Was it only about free speech? I mean, you're a pretty successful techno entrepreneur. You're switched on to crypto. There's probably easier things to do than build a social media platform from scratch. What made you guys commit to doing something like this?
So in 2018, we were actually developing a crypto wallet that was specifically going to focus on privacy coins and tokens. And as we were developing this, 2018, that's when Alex Jones got deplatformed, and a lot of the YouTube, content creators that I have, watched for years since, back in the Ron Paul days, they started, I just noticed they had to start changing the words that they had, or can say, just when talking about, current events. It's all now, normal and kind of like we're at that like frog boiling point where everyone's just used to it now, but which is really unfortunate. But like that really concerned me that they couldn't talk about, overseas wars, or, any police brutality, or even cryptocurrency has been censored. And
even medical freedom was being attacked back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not as bad as it currently is, but
right. So we were developing this. We actually got accepted into Boost VC, which is run by Tim Draper's son, Adam Draper. If you know Tim Draper, he's like a pretty big in the crypto world. So same with Adam Draper, and that's a startup accelerator. So we actually got accepted with our idea for the privacy wallet, and then during that, like the first day, actually, I was like, hey, I think we're gonna
plot twist.
Yeah, we're gonna pivot our idea because we feel that this is important, and I always like to align things that are important or things that we stand for with with our business ventures. So yeah, we just we not only did we feel that it was the right thing to do, and we saw the trend of censorship go up, and this is before Corona really took place in 2020, a year after. But yeah, we just saw all these people, and then Erin, I mean, she brought a bunch of these content creators into our, I always tell her she has like the gift of, I mean, literally just even with, InfoWars, last Friday, basically all these people that I've, admired and enjoy their journalism on the internet. She has the gift of just, like really kind of reaching through the screen and bringing them into our lives. So we became friends with, Josh Sigurdson of World Alternative Media, Dan Dix of Press for Truth, Jeff Berwick a little bit,
Carrie Wedler,
basically like all these people that I was like a fanboy of, and it started to affect them. It wasn't, a lot of people just thought at the time, even like during Boost VC, when I was kind of pitching the idea of floats to VCs and angel investors in the Bay Area. I mentioned, hey, we're building a platform that supports free speech, and we want to integrate cryptocurrency, just basically facilitating communication and commerce peer to peer, and promoting privacy.
What was the post that you put today, or the post that you're working on? Go ahead and give an impression of your first pitch to the investors in San Francisco.
Yeah.
In the accent and all.
In the accent. Yeah. So I mean, my pitch in April 2019, I stood up there at the end of demo day at Boost VC in front of 200 plus VCs and angel investors, and I said, free speech is under attack, and the crowd just kind of it was like a blank stare. It was They're
all from the Bay Area.
Yeah.
Right? And
so everyone just it was crazy. Like everyone just didn't see what was happening, and every honestly, like every investor that I spoke with was just like, I just, in their mind, I'm guessing that they're just thinking that we're just building a platform for conspiracy theorists or Nazis. But in reality, it's just us.
Reality, it's a bunch of people from the survival podcast who gardening and love their chickens and grow, hydroponics in their garage, basically.
So and I don't have any problem with conspiracy theorists. Obviously, I probably consider myself one. A lot of those, theories have been coming true, become factual, throughout the last couple of years, especially. But man,
I think part of it was that like people didn't believe it because it didn't affect them. The freedom of speech thing, well, all the stuff I'm interested in, I'm allowed to post, and my friends post, and I don't know anybody, and because they didn't care.
Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of the old thing with the Nazis. First they came for this group and I wasn't in it, so it didn't matter. And then they came for that group and I was in it when they came for me, there was nobody left. I mean, that we're really seeing that in modern terms right now and digitally, right?
Yeah. So, we saw this trend happening. And honestly, like just looking back, I really started witnessing this during, 2008 Ron Paul days where they would censor, him on stage or or change, the meaning of what he said right afterwards and try to make him out to be kind of a kook and try to, censor him as much as possible. So this trend's been happening, for a while, and we didn't, did we ever know that 2020 would go up in a fire like it did as far as censorship is concerned? No, but I mean, it's I called it, but it's crazy out there right now, and especially even just using the internet to do research myself, to be my own fact checker, which we encourage really the community and individuals to do on Float, not to provide some centralized BS fact check. I was actually just going to post one on Float
which is AKA court proven opinion, like Facebook.
Right. And I just started noticing like, wow, Google's becoming less of a useful research tool to investigate the things that I'm interested in. YouTube, I'm not able to find. I put in names of specific people or specific videos, and they're not populating in the search results. Something is going on here. There's more and more manipulation that's happening on these big tech platforms, and it seems to be happening across the board. So
I know the shadow banning has gotten really bad, and there's things like you said, you can't even find it when you're looking for it. I have people all the time say, I set a reminder notification on YouTube and I didn't get it, and if it happens once, it's a thing. You guys know technology fails, but when something happens enough times, it becomes repeatable. It becomes a pattern of behavior.
Right. Yeah. And then the fact that, certain content creators would just get deplatformed across the board, or people that we know, Dan Dix and Josh in particular, they spent, 5, almost 10 years building up their YouTube channels, finally getting to 150,000 subscribers, 250,000 subscribers, starting to make an actual income that they can just focus and live off of and, build their business from YouTube, which used to be such a, a great platform for all of us. And all of a sudden, they mentioned the wrong word, this was even before Corona, or talk about the wrong subject, and they get completely deplatformed, demonetized. They lose their livelihood. It's like, okay, well, what do I can't pay the bills. It's it's wild what's going on now. But I think there's also obviously an opportunity, and that's what we saw with Float. It's like, hey, it's the perfect combo. We can stand up and support the right thing, and we can also we see it obviously as an opportunity too to help rebuild online communication and communities.
Yeah. And we've had pretty decent luck building in real life communities prior to Float. And so we were just like, you know what, we have the network, we have the experience of building, on the ground communities. So let's throw our hat in the ring and see what comes of this, and see if we can build a community online, but also stress the importance of building, in real life relationships and doing what we can to connect people to people.
Yeah, I found it really interesting that when I set this stream up, this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I shouted at you guys yesterday on Float that they actually flagged this video before it existed as being not suitable for most advertisers.
Yeah.
And I can only assume it's because free speech was in the title. I mean, like, so you're literally afraid of somebody talking about free speech. And, you know, to me, like the advertiser thing on YouTube, if an advertiser doesn't want to be on my content, I'm totally okay with that, right? Like but there's a mechanism for that. And if you just made it more available to your advertisers, more, you know, like anybody you want to put on the list you don't want to advertise on, I would never complain about that. Right. When you're blanket censoring me, and, you know, because I guarantee you there's some advertisers I'd prefer not to be on my videos. I find it funny when like Monsanto or somebody or advertises on one of my videos about seeds. It's just, it's delicious irony. You know, and it is becoming worse and worse. And kind of on that note, you guys just had kind of one of those moments. And whenever I talk about y'all, I always get the skeptics that are like, yeah, everybody says they're free speech until it comes right down to it. Well, y'all just had one of those moments where the Google Play Store came at y'all and said, if you don't censor, you know, these users, and they were pointing to like stuff, I guess they were making the case was pornographic. But, you know, when you let that snake in, it eats everything. Like if you agree to do anything, then it's like, you know, you got to do this and I got to do that. And y'all basically told them straight up, fuck off.
Yeah.
And like, to me, that was like, okay, we're done talking about whether they're committed to this or not now.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I mean, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the user they pointed out was this you know, this account that it seems like they would have had to like dig to find it and find the specific, you know, piece of evidence for them to present some sort of argument to make their case. And, you know, just like we spoke about on InfoWars, you know, it's like, Twitter has pornography.
Reddit has pornography. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on TikTok. You can find it, you know, you can go on Google Chrome and type in Pornhub and you have access to all the porn you want. So at the end of the day, why are we having this discussion? Yeah. And also, you know, like, just like you said, honestly, they sent the email. Kingsley forwarded it to myself and Alex, and Kingsley was like, well, we knew this day was coming.
Yeah,
I guess we're done. And that was it. Like that, there was no other internal discussion of whether or not we were just going to sit there and let them play whack-a-mole with us. And, you know, if they're going to send us that pornographic account and tell us to take it down, then they're just going to find something else in, you know, another week, and then another 2 weeks, and then another 3 weeks. And we're just not going to let a company tell us how to run our company. That's not how we work. We don't want that kind of oversight. You know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And you know, I had, you know, some clues. So what happened too, but before that, they contacted us from the Gulag Play Store, and they said, you know, they said, oh, can you need to create an account for us to, you know, I guess
take a look.
Yes.
So they couldn't create their own user account. They wanted you to give them one. So they just like onboarding's not important to Google, right? That's not important at all. Just, you know, do our job for us. Don't take the 2 seconds it takes to enter a username and an email address and a password and go submit. That's too much work for Google. But digging for hours and hours and days to find what has to be a very small minority. I've been on Float for over a year now. I've never seen anything approaching pornographic on Float. I've seen more pornography on MeWe than I have on Float, and they have an app. Yeah, it's all crap. It's all what I think what it was is like, so we don't really want to have this discussion right now, so we'll find something else. Yeah. Which means they had to actually take a person and task them with it. I don't think it was a general app review that they normally do. Like they're like, well, what do we do here? Like, how do we handle this? Because it seems like
oh, sorry. Kingsley said, if that's the worst thing that they found on Float, then I'd say we're doing pretty well.
Yeah. I mean, and to me, like, my idea is, why don't we just build these platforms so nobody has to see anything they particularly don't want to, and then let's not ask, you know, mommy and daddy Google and big media to do our job for us. Right. I mean, I saw somebody lost their shit recently. It was a Twitter thing, but somebody posted a picture of Santa Claus on Twitter, and Santa had a gun. And then, like, this lady lost her shit because she said, I just showed this to my kid, and now he thinks Santa's going to kill him, and he's crying, and he won't stop. It's like, first of all the things that never happened, that one never happened the most. But if it did, how about you be a parent? How about if you're worried about this, you don't, like, so what'd you do? Call Billy, come look. Santa's going to come kill you now. And so you could shriek. about this. Like, and that's what it seems like a lot of this comes from. People bitch and they don't want to see it. And I've seen it in things that people wouldn't think. I've seen it. Like, I have I guess a niece-in-law, my nephew's wife, and she's a glam model. She's like, that's her deal. She's not doing anything pornographic. She's not doing anything nude or whatever. But they've had all kinds of things like on TikTok and whatnot shut down. And they're like, there's nothing we post that goes over the line. But there's tons of things. But they let the people that shriek control what they do. And I think it's a coordinated top-down attack. But I also think it's like a reactionary thing. Like if somebody bitches about something, instead of saying, hey, you know what? We have block features. You can block somebody. You don't have to see them. And you don't have to let them see you. You can do whatever you want. Do your own job. And it just seems like people are like shocked that it's gotten this bad. I'm not, because that's like the mainstream society we live in. I want somebody else to do what I won't do for myself or for my family. Like that's rampant. It's
a complete like nanny mentality. And so Kingsley also says a lot that, you know, big tech has like a top-down approach, and we're not after that model at all. You know, like where big tech kind of extracts value from users and users kind of, you know, rely on big tech to take care of things for them. Like we want to build the tools to empower our users to kind of cater and create their own experience.
Yeah, I mean, moderate your own. I mean, you know, all these platforms, they existed for over a decade, some 2 decades, some more. And they've been able to operate, you know, somewhat normal without that much censorship until, you know, really just, you know, pretty recently, just really the last few years. So there, you know, this is, it's honestly, it's really crazy, you know, but it makes
a merch idea actually.
But you know, it makes sense. It makes sense with where the world is going. I mean, technology is becoming uncensored or censorship resistant, decentralized. You know, blockchain, Bitcoin, all these cryptocurrencies, they're enabling people to, you know, send and receive transactions unhindered, you know, cross borders instantly. So to, you know, the people that, you know, whoever, the powers that be or whatever you want to call them, you can tell they're like kind of grasping at straws right now to try to retain the control that they had before with the mainstream media and the internet and everything else. But you know, I think at this point the cat's out of the bag, and we have the tools now to rebuild, you know, the internets. I mean, really, and to, you know, rebuild our social identity, our online identities, online communities. You know, encryption is becoming more and more mainstream, and people are starting to wake up. And you know, with especially with everything that's going on right now. It's only benefiting us. I mean, you know, it used to make me mad before we had floats when you'd see all this censorship happening. Now I'm like, you know, keep stepping on your users, because you're just pissing them off more and more. Yeah, you're sending bigger, you know, content creators our way with larger followings, or at least that are like looking at, you know, alternative tech like Float and others. And I think, you know, the trends is on our side. And we have to do something about this, because it's unbelievable with how they're trying to just hide information for our own health, for things that are going around the world, and manipulating information and trying to present it, you know, to us as some sort of, like, it seems like a parallel reality that they're you know, trying to force us into believing. Mm-hmm. And we're you know, smart people. We can kind of figure out what's real and what's not. We don't need you know, people in these centralized authority positions to dictate you know, how to live our lives. So just like you said, it's all about just, you know, moderating your own experience, curating your own experience, and that's how it should be.
Yeah, personal responsibility. And somebody was asking in the comment stream if there's a way to filter not safe for work, and as long as I guess the person posting it marks it that way, there is in settings. One of our listeners here pointed that out. You can use a little gear function and set your settings there. Yeah, take care of your own stuff, man. You know, and like, if you do see a booby, you're gonna be okay. You know, just block that guy. It's gonna be fine. You're not gonna die. Like, you know, it's gonna work out. Some
welcome to the internet.
Overreact to, like, oh, I won't ever see it. Well, you're gonna see some things you don't like in life. Like, we'll do the best we can for you. But in the end, like if you're on the internet, occasionally you're going to run across some things you don't like, and you're going to have to take responsibility for it. Moving on more to like what Float does and talking more proactively instead of just complaining about the legacy media. The most requested feature from my audience every time I ask has been groups, right? And communities, right? And there's a reason for that. And then like number 2 is probably marketplace. And I know you're working on bringing both of those out. When I look at Float today, if you said, what does this most look like that you're familiar with on a bigger platform? I would say Twitter. Like it looks like Twitter. It acts like Twitter in many ways. Some things it does, Twitter doesn't do. Some things Twitter does, it doesn't do. But that's the closest approximation. When you look at Twitter, you know, you don't really have groups or a marketplace or anything. Like that's a Facebook style feature. So as you move into that, how will the UI change for the user? Will they still be able to get this kind of like micro stream type microblogging platform and kind of swap between them? Or how's that going to work? I guess the only thing close to features that's in that kind of model is like there is communities on things like Reddit, like Wall Street Bets. Like how is yours going to work?
Yeah. So yeah, we're trying to. So our original one of our founders, Kevin, who passed away recently, he was a big Twitter fan. I've never been a big Twitter fan. I'm pretty sure. It
was a big point in contention actually building Float because Kevin
me
wanted
neither.
to pull the Twitter out. Kingsley really was like, I fucking hate Twitter, and so it was always just kind of like that. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it may look like Twitter, but we've always said in the beginning that like we're actually kind of going after a Facebook feature set. Yeah, like so. I think that's where the opportunity lies as far as UI, UX and design is trying to, we've had a lot of calls actually about this recently, trying to find actually a good in between for the things that Twitter does right and the things that Facebook does right. So with Float, in the future, you'll be seeing some advancements to our threading, which isn't the best threading out there. I don't think actually any platform really handles threading perfectly, but I think we're close to coming up with at least a more perfect model than anything out there that we're really excited about. And as far as groups specifically, I want to point out that is our next feature that we're working on. So once V1 is out, groups is actually right up next to be, worked out and put on the site.
Yeah. So yeah, we've had a lot of brainstorming with how exactly groups is going to work. We haven't chosen anything 100% yet, but we are, we're basically bouncing a lot of ideas back and forth. But I would say that, I don't know. I can't really answer that yet because I have some kind of maybe crazy ideas that might work that I want to talk with the team and I don't know. Yeah. So, I guess it's TBD.
Yeah. Our goal is to make it as user friendly as possible.
Yeah.
A lot of the group functionality on Facebook's not great. It used to be, but the pages and the groups, the functionality just really got messed up somewhere in the balance. And so, being on Float, we want to make the user experience as easy as possible. We want conversation to flow as easy as possible. We want to make sure that it's easy to keep track of conversations so nothing really gets lost. And so, yeah, I think you guys will like what we're going to come up with. And of course, we'll come on the Survival podcast and share some little tidbits of where we are on that.
Well, it's always an open invitation for you guys. I'll tell you that right now. One of the things I saw recently, I think Kingsley put it out, was how the advertising platform is going to work, where it's actually going to reward. It's very Brave-like, I think you're borrowing kind of the best feature sets from different technical providers out there, where if I'm sitting there and I'm consuming content all day long and I'm consuming the ad, then some of that advertising revenue can come to me. And I think the fact that you've created such a great pathway with wallet integration is probably what's going to make that doable. So can you maybe talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, so yeah, it's a little bit different. So with Float, because we've done obviously a lot of research on different platforms. Our goal is to focus the rewards to actually the creators versus the consumers. So when you use Brave or you use Odyssey or some of these other platforms, they do reward consuming content. It is a zero-sum game. So there are things that we can do where we can do promotional things and have it so that if you do this or do that or join, we can give you tokens or some sort of credits or whatever. But yeah, and at the end, like, we really want to incentivize producers, creators, the people that are actually putting in the work, because like I said, like it's either we split it or it all goes to the person who's actually creating the content. We feel that that's the most important, and if we can incentivize those people, then that's probably the best. I think the best thing to do, and also the right strategy to do, to get them to come over and have them promote to their communities to come over as well.
Right. And then leave it up to the producers of the content to then, give away value and, maybe have the choice to share some of your tokens that you're earning, or, really, you guys are the ones bringing the audiences. So we want to go ahead and incentivize you. And then we want you to incentivize your audience.
Yeah. Free market, economics kind of, I guess it would be a little bit of a trickle down Reagan-esque, but the more money that's in your pocket from, ways that you can monetize off of Float, then you can maybe, figure out your own types of rewards or things to do with your following.
Right. And that's not to say we won't be doing giveaways for the community, but just as far as advertising goes, that's kind of how it'll work.
Oh, we lost you. What happened?
It makes sense because it is what people tune in for, right? They tune in for the content, right? And I think one of the things that makes a platform most successful is when it's not just people posting, Newsweek and InfoWars, or nothing against InfoWars, but people constantly regurgitating the same content, really doesn't help me very much, right? Like, it doesn't really give me information I wouldn't get anywhere that I went. Where when someone's posting like a video of how they made a knife, like I saw the other day, a guy made a knife with Damascus steel, and he made the Damascus steel from fish hooks. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm probably not going to do that, but I was interested, right?
Yeah,
that was interesting. You did what? Right? Yeah. I never even thought of that. So I think that the more we can develop original content, and sometimes even content that is exclusive to this platform. Like, I've been playing with my little contemplations of a redneck hippie duck farmer, and I'm only putting that on Float now, just because it's good to have something that draws people into that location. And I'll tell you, part of what makes me feel so betrayed by sites like Facebook is that way back when I started getting on those platforms, I wasn't even doing TSP yet. I was doing social media marketing for brands. And I put out a lot of content on how it was important for us not to look to a Facebook or a Twitter and say, well, if I just go there, how much do I get? But for us to bring people with us, to take our existing relationships and say, hey, you should come communicate with me on Facebook. Just like I would, like back in the 80s, I'd meet a girl in school and I wanted her to talk to me. I'd give her my phone number. And I live in such a small town, you could give her a phone number like 5980, and everybody knew the prefix and there was no area code. That's how little a town I was from. But you gave someone a way to communicate with you, and then they used that method. And I did a lot of like coaching with major brands saying, like, this is what you need to do. You need to encourage your existing users to use this line of communications with you, because let's be honest, you're not going to answer every email you get. That's just like, I really like your new case for your phones or whatever. But if you do that in a public medium, you're going to get a lot more interaction, and then you get a lot more benefit than answering that one person. The one person feels personally catered to, but your group audience feels like they're communicated with. And I know that I wasn't the only one doing that. I know there were hundreds, thousands of people like me instructing brands to do this, and now I feel like they're completely have betrayed that, because it is the creators and the content producers that built these platforms. It doesn't mean Jack Spirko built Facebook. And I've said this before, and some of the Facebook fan people are like, no, so you didn't do nothing. No, I didn't do anything if you measure it at individual level. But when you take 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 people like me, and those people instructing other people to do the same thing, that's what built those platforms.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And if you don't value that as a platform, then you're going to turn your back on the people that built it for you.
Yeah. They wouldn't have, their platform if it wasn't for the people who were there first. And so, I think that's something that we understand, and, we're excited to kind of incentivize our OG users, or I wouldn't say incentivize, but give back to our OG users and, make them feel really valued. But I mean, we always want to keep that in the back of our minds, like the people who have been on Float since the beginning, like you guys are the reason why we can continue to build and get better. And so, we just want to build the platform for y'all. Do we want to be able to survive? Yeah. Do we want to be able to, say we've helped free speech, preserve free speech online? Yeah. But ultimately we want to build the platform that you guys want to use.
Yeah. And a lot, even especially with the free speech stuff, I saw, actually it was a tweet. I've been on Twitter more recently. Actually, I think it's because of you, Jack, because you've been tagging me and tagging.
Hashtag.
Yeah, but that's cool.
Yeah.
I still use big tech, to promote Float.
Yeah, someone actually said that in the comments. I think it was S4S76.
Okay.
Yeah, he said I use Facebook to promote Float to my normie friends.
Yeah, thank you. So what was I saying?
You've been using big tech. You've been on Twitter.
Yeah.
Because of me, because I'm trying to get myself banned again, and they won't do it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've been shadow banned on Twitter since I created an account. But
you were probably about to say that, like, you've been on Twitter forever and you only have X and you never get engagement.
I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. Anyway.
She's right. That's the thing, though. I when I got on Twitter, I blew up to like 12,000 followers in like a month, and I sit after 10 years now at 15,000. Like,
like
that,
when you're shadow banned, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, that's one thing about Twitter is that I just noticed that my Facebook engagement's a lot more, and I would share a lot of the same, but it really is also, I remember testing like Twitter, actually trying to be like, okay, I'm going to try to, make this thing work. And yeah, it just never did. So I'm pretty sure it's because probably the first thing I said on Twitter, I think I joined like 2009 was,
and the Fed.
Yeah, and the Fed, or vote for Ron Paul, or, something like that. It is what it is.
So you want to talk a little bit about your new NFT sale and how that's coming up and what that's going to be all about? And my understanding, but I've seen a lot of info on it, and I've seen that there's like a token reward as well, but I haven't seen how the tokens correlate to and I'm talking about the float tokens correlate to the NFT. Am I missing something there? Or?
No. So we're doing a Plank Owner NFT sale. Basically, if you look at the benefits, you can check out floatnft.com, and you can see that it's a lot of you're basically buying, you're like pre-buying a bunch of things that are on the platform or will be on the platform at a discount. So it has a really good value to it. And also it includes token airdrop for a certain amount of tokens for each dollar amount that's spent on the NFT. So we thought this was a creative way to, especially two crypto guys on our team are really into NFTs. We thought this was a creative way to help further distribute the tokens before we launch it onto a decentralized exchange, and also provide something unique as like kind of like a badge of supporting Float as an NFT Plank owner on the site, and just kind of our step into what we're continuing to build, which really is I say this to myself all the time, but we're really you look at Facebook. I mean, that's a lot of the feature sets that we're going after, and it's really like a super app, and so I like to consider what we're building kind of with Web3 and decentralized technology and privacy as kind of like a super DApp. For those of you who don't know, a DApp is a decentralized application. So the farther we move along in our roadmap, the more we'll get to that vision. But yeah, there's a lot of things that we want to do we're probably going to do some kind of other NFT like artist stuff. There's a lot of hype. Believe me, it's funny with crypto because I spend a lot of my time like way more than I want to, trying to always figure out like what's hype and what's not. I don't like to buy into the hype. We're not thinking short term. We're thinking, long term, 5-10 years out. What really, what value can these new technologies provide to our user base?
Right.
And so, yeah, this was just kind of, one unique way just to kind of have that like support NFT badge, have a bunch of baked in benefits and offers a way for us to distribute our token before we do a public launch.
Very cool, guys. When is that going to go on sale? When I had Alex and Alexander on last week, they said it would be this year. This year's waning. Is that going to we're going to have because I don't want to miss out. And like, it'd be good to know the day that it's going to happen. Like, are you sure on that yet?
Yeah, we're planning on actually New Year's Eve starting it.
Okay.
And we're guessing that, we're hoping that it we'll be able to sell out, pretty quick, but we're guessing that it could take anywhere from 1 to 4 weeks. But yeah, we have an announcement today that we're going to make. So we have a partnership that we're going to be announcing with Unstoppable Domains. They're giving away a free domain with every NFT sale. I'm talking with some other potential partners that are interested in kind of helping us with the NFT sale and also promoting what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So, and for those of you who don't know, Unstoppable Domains, they offer a unique domain that you can have. So you can have like Jack Spirko .crypto, for instance, instead of having some long, crazy address that we're all too familiar with in the crypto world. It just makes it a lot more accessible and easy for people to use.
I also saw a comment. I just want to comment on it. So Rick DeWeese says, like the idea of the NFTs, but found the shipmate level a bit underwhelming. I think you'd be surprised how many would be willing to throw in a couple hundred to support you guys. So I want to point out that the tiers of the NFT. So if you, like, I know the shipmate is the $100 tier, I believe. Mm-hmm. So you could actually grab more than one shipmate. So for instance, if you want to throw in like $500 into an NFT, but there's no $500 tier or, 300, whatever, you can just grab 3 shipmate NFTs. And that way you can get more than one, but you don't have to quite get to the higher levels. So that's something that a lot of people, I think, misunderstood from the way we've put it out there. Yeah,
it's great feedback. And give us all the feedback you guys can, because we really appreciate it. We take it very seriously, and we just want to, again, provide value to you guys. And also, if you were to, let's say, buy 3 shipmates or mix and match or whatever to create whatever dollar amount you want, you can send those out. So whoever you send that out, hey, as I guess a post Christmas gift or whatever, or New Year's gift, they can
grab your loved ones a Float NFT.
They can share in the benefits and token and all that.
My feedback is let's bring back the 1970s long sales coffee. And when y'all put out these little things about your NFTs, and since you put out information on a prior announcement, it's not included in the next announcement. Stop doing that. Yeah. Like, it should say a shipmate is this X amount of token, like everything that comes in there.
Right,
and then when you add, like, you release new information, take the old one and add to it. Because like I was going back and forth with, I think it was Alex on this Telegram and saying, well, we already put that out. I don't remember.
Yeah,
I don't remember. We saw that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
No, yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, and one of the issues with why we're experiencing that right now is probably because I can't, I have a lot of crazy ideas that I just come up with in the middle of the night, and I kind of came up with this idea, really recently. So there's a lot of thought that it has, that's going into it. But we just want to make sure before things go public that, obviously everything's finalized and makes sense.
Sure. Because now you've committed, right? Like, I'm sure there's people going, you said we'd have communities in 2021. And now we and there's the reality of like, we want to do a thing. And then there's the reality of developing it. And then there's the reality, like, I think what's worse than to release a solution 3 months later than you planned is to release a solution earlier on time that doesn't work well.
Right.
Because then you get this.
We're never going to put something out that is not perfect. Like if we're going to put something out, we need to know and we need to thoroughly have the time to test that something is going to work properly, you know?
And then, and that's been, I take all the blame. So I mean, to be honest, and I think I've been pretty public about this, like we have experienced, I mean, honestly,
obstacle over obstacle.
Yeah.
Obstacle.
Float has presented a lot of, a lot of headaches that we're just, every day we're just plowing through them, running through those brick walls. But we've experienced issues with funding, like I mentioned before. All these VCs and angels that I even got into projects where they made lots of money. I would talk to them about Float, and it was just blank stare. Basically wouldn't give me the time of day. So we've had issues with fundraising. We announced a $2.5 million deal earlier this year. And unfortunately, we only received a small percentage of that because the deal fell through because of their end. We've gone through now. What is this? Our third dev team.
Yeah.
So man, it's been quite the battle. But hey, we're committed to the cause, and it's a struggle, and we really appreciate you guys sticking with us.
Right.
And I guess initially, I'm kind of, I apologize for maybe coming out publicly about, some dates that we thought that we could conquer or, release by. But we, just rest assured, right now, the Float, especially the dev team, is killer, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Right now, we're maintaining Boats, which is the current beta platform, developing Catamaran, which will be the version, V1. And just our dev team's never been more in sync. We have Chuck Williams, our CXO, that just brought so much great, process to our environment. So we're just having a lot more success just as an organization overall. So right now before we were just kind of,
I wouldn't say winging it.
we were patching, as things came, we had to deal with them.
Yeah.
And I guarantee a lot of people they would have quit by now for sure. But we love what Float stands for.
We have the best community, and so honestly, finding the right team, finding the right development team, finding the right backers, everything is sort of kind of falling into place. We launched when did we launch? July 2019.
Late July 2019.
And so now, we're sorting out all these issues, and V1 is well on its way, and we'll give an update on that here momentarily, and so, we're just really grateful that most of our community sees us as normal human beings. They don't look at us and they're not like, oh, these features aren't on time, or, oh, this was supposed to be out already. I don't think they see us and they think of us like the next Facebook. They see us as two people, running a company trying that doesn't have millions of dollars, that doesn't have, we have 3 people on our dev team right now, it's
for Catamaran.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And so, ultimately we're just a couple of people trying, and so it'll get better as more money flows in. So.
More money. And just like I said, our team right now is just killer. So we have, we have to maintain the current platform and build the new one. And timelines next year, especially, will be much more on target. And
I think once you get Catamaran in place, then you have the new platform, and you're only building on the new platform.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Because building something twice has been, very time consuming.
Yeah.
Building it in Boat and then building it in Catamaran.
Yeah. And initially too, it's unfortunate that the founding dev team, they just didn't, they thought that they were using the right technology to make Float as scalable as it should be. And we just kept getting hangups, when James Corbett joined or Sam Tripoli. So, but now for sure, we have the right, we're using the right tech, and we have the right guys integrating it.
Yeah. And not only that, we're no longer just clinging to month, but we're planning from months out, and we're preparing. I mean, hell, if Google had kicked us off their Play Store without us taking the time to research and build the APK, if we didn't have an APK right now, we'd be screwed. It's because we took the time to plan efficiently, to build and to execute. And honestly, that's all because of Chuck Williams, that we even have a backup plan to this Google issue. So it's beautiful kind of watching the progression. I don't want any comments to get lost. Sorry, I take charge of things like this. But our token is actually called just Float token. And then the smallest unit is called a Flotoshi, similar to a Satoshi for Bitcoin.
Yeah, Float something that the Gremlin user base came up with in Telegram. It's not necessarily a thing, but we decided if it's a Flotoshi, it's a Floken. But that's a slang term. That's not an official ticker symbol going in an exchange or anything.
Right. And then for David Pritchard, do you guys direct hire or bring in contractor teams? We direct hire from now on. I will never hire another contractor team ever.
Yeah, one of the things that we learned.
Yeah.
Cool. So I think sometimes we get so caught up in things that are coming, we lose track of things we have. And so my understanding is that messaging on Float is encrypted. Is that true?
Yes. Yeah, it is encrypted. And, a big part of what we're doing too is focus on interoperability and being able to, some examples of that right now are the ability to download your Facebook data and upload it to your Float account, which I think is really unique. We can do the same thing with actually Twitter, which I'd like to do next year. We can do the same thing with YouTube. So just making it really easy for people to jump ship to Float from existing platforms and bring all that, all their posts, pictures, images, videos with them. And then we also want to be able to, we have a cross platform posts with Twitter right now. So just making easy ways for you to connect from Floats to other platforms. So we're looking to add even other big tech platforms, just to have some sort of way for you to connect with your prior your prior communities and help them bring them to Float. But we want to do that with other alt tech or small tech or whatever you want to call it, new tech platforms. We're looking to become a library app, which would be really great. So that's all content on library actually would be visible and you'd be able to engage with it directly on Float, which would be phenomenal.
That'd be great. Yeah, that would be great because I upload my content to ScrewTube. It ports over to Odyssey. If it also was then connected to Float, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
The integration, I think, is really important because especially – so I think users are a lot more likely, like consumer users, are more likely to have a platform or two that they stick to, that they have loyalty to, that they find where they consume their content. Creators, posters, people that are actually out creating content, when they're building brands, we tend to go where the eyeballs are. So, I mean, it was a painful decision for me to basically tell Facebook, go screw, because I got so much engagement there.
Yeah.
And we're streaming there right now, but I don't have to go there. I found out I could just click a button on StreamYard and throw my content up there. And if they ban me, who gives a shit now? But that hurt like a year and a half ago when I said, I'm not doing this anymore. It cost me significant income, and I was willing to do it, but a lot of people aren't. And I think that when you're a brand, you want to be able to simplify what you're doing as much as possible. So the integration, I think, is really important. On the Twitter integration, what I wasn't clear, and I just turned that on today, and I don't know how long it takes from the time a post is on one to show up on the other or what have you. But what way does it go? Does it make my Twitter posts come to Float, or does it take my Float posts over to Twitter?
It takes your Float post over to Twitter.
Yeah,
however, I do want to point out that images will not carry over and tags will not carry over.
Okay.
And that's a limitation that Twitter puts on.
Yeah, and it makes sense too, because if I tag you on Float, you may not have the same tag on Twitter.
Yeah.
The tag actually won't even show up. So
it's
just some weird limitation that Twitter put on there.
But it shows like a small snippet of your post, and then it links back to your Float post.
So back to the permalink on Float.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, smart. I like that. Okay, cool. Now that I know that, I can spend less time messing with Twitter trying to get banned and see if I can do it through you guys. That's cool.
Yeah. Mike, package Float for Start9 Embassy. Yeah, we're actually in talks with Start9. A bunch of our developers and actually Chuck, our CXO, and Alex, our COO, both have Start9 Embassy boxes, and they've already started those discussions.
That's awesome. Start9 is coming on board in 2022 as a sponsor of our show, and we have a discount set up with them for people out there watching. And If you go to the Survival Podcast and search for Start 9, like it's one word with the number 9 at the end of it, you can find the interview we did if you want to know more about that. The other thing I wanted to ask you guys about is, and by the way, thank you for it because it worked out economically for me. I had no idea what a polygon was. And when I asked Kingsley the first time we had him on the show, like, why go ERC20 with float tokens instead of something like an Oligo or a Cosmos that's so much cheaper to roll out on fees? He mentioned that you guys would be using Polygon in your back end as like a layered solution for ETH tokens until ETH gets their shit together with proof of stake, if they ever do. Is that still what y'all are doing? Are you still using that or planning on using that with your float tokens?
Yeah, when having to choose what crypto to use, and there's thousands of offerings out there and different tokens and coins and blockchains. So you really have to see where the market's at right now and where the communities are and what's the best tech for users. Initially, we launched with just Bitcoin because Bitcoin being number one, and we thought that would be kind of the most easiest for us to bring on an audience. And I used to be a Bitcoin maximalist back in the day, but Bitcoin has its limitations. I mean, especially after the halving in last year. We see Bitcoin obviously getting congested and prices going up, or for transaction fees and the speed of sending a transaction. It's not really acting like a great internet currency or digital currency. So we saw this now with Ethereum this year. So Polygon is a second layer solution for those who don't know, that sits on top of Ethereum, and it basically offers pretty much free. Typically less than a penny as far as transactions are concerned, and very, very fast, almost instance. So we figured, and also they have a very large and growing ecosystem. So as far as us being able to plug into different other technologies or other platforms, it provides right now the best solution. May that change, crypto
changes on a dime.
Yeah, industries like changes. It could be different next year or whatever. But and we can always do like a token swap or something like that. But we're always we always want to use crypto as a money. We want to.
He's so excited he can't get it out.
Yes, I think that's just the thing with me. Like I've been using crypto as money since I bought my first Bitcoin in 2013. And I think, we need to start, taking it more seriously, because to me, that's why I got into crypto. Once it actually hit my head that, hey, this is the way to actually end the Fed in a peaceful way. I don't think they'll make it peaceful. I think eventually, the war on crypto will get worse and worse. So we'll have to deal with that. But I think us using crypto as money is just so important. I mean, I think it's, as kind of stupid and small as it sounds, is like, oh, okay, sending crypto versus fiat, or not using my bank account. I feel that that's the fastest way to a more peaceful and prosperous world. Yeah,
so, I think what we're seeing happen in the crypto space, and who knows which of the alts is going to fill the void best, with all the stuff like DeFi and NFTs and all, but Bitcoin forming its own lane. And use the word money there with currency interchangeably. That's become one of my little things I always pick on people for. Like, I see Bitcoin as becoming money, and everything else is currency, right? And the problem is people don't want to spend money. That's the biggest problem. Because Lightning can solve the transaction speed and the fees with a layered solution. So basically, Lightning is to Bitcoin as Polygon is to Ethereum, sort of. So we can make Bitcoin fast and we can make Bitcoin cheap. People still don't want to spend it. They don't want to let go of it. Like, it's becoming that stockpile of wealth that you hold long term. And currencies, what you carry around in your pocket that you go to the bar with. When I go to the bar, I don't go down to the bank and go, hey, I'd like my life savings, please. I'm going to the bar this weekend. That would be a bad idea. So I think people put their wealth in buckets, and there's like the long-term bucket. We think of it as a retirement bucket, or like even like the bequeath bucket, the bucket that goes to my grandkids someday, right? And then we've got like the midterm, I'll probably spend this at some point, but I'm not spending it today, or
Right.
this is our 90-day emergency fund in prepping. And then there's spending money. And that's the money I'm going to spend either today on a hot dog, or I'm going to spend it this month on my electric bill. And it gets segmented that way. And I think without anybody formally saying it, that's what's happening in crypto. People are kind of like taking that ETH, the actual like native ETH and Bitcoin, and it's going in this bucket that's like, I don't want to spend it. I'm always shocked when people pay me in Bitcoin anymore. I'm happy about it. And I feel like a prick because I never pay anybody in Bitcoin. I'm like, I'll pay you in, ARC or Algo or something, right? Or Litecoin or something like that. But basically, once I'm like the Ferengi on Star Trek, right? Like once you get their Latinum, never ever get it back. Once I get Bitcoin, it's like I'm like Golem, my precious, and it goes away and it never comes out.
Yeah.
But when I get on a network like Odyssey and they introduced LBC coin, people throw that around like they make it rain, man. They they spend it freely. It's cheap, it's fast, and I don't think it's in people's heads like I'm saving this for my great grandchildren. I'm going to have a smart contract enabled will that's going to parse it out like I'm a Rockefeller after I'm dead. And I think people are moving there mentally with Bitcoin.
Yeah, I disagree. I think that's
here we go.
But open to debate. I think that I think Bitcoin obviously benefits because it has the brand recognition. It was first player, first moving advantage, or whatever advantage of being the first one out there, competitive advantage, and we're starting to see a shift. I think that the more and more people do use crypto, which actually it's really interesting because a lot of people now have picked up on stable coins, which I used to be against, but now I'm like, hey, stable coins is better than actually dealing with fiat, as long as you believe that Tether and USDC and everything is backed. But at least we're not dealing with the banks and all this other stuff.
It's primarily how we pay our payroll.
Yeah. But as far as Bitcoin, yeah, I don't know. I see money, currency is a technology. It's used to transact. It's used to find that price for trade, and so I believe that's eventually. I think it's kind of interesting to just kind of think forward and like, what is the world going to be like? Is Erin going to have her own token? Is Kingsley, is everyone going to have their own token? But and I think there's a lot of examples even in history of where we see these different types of private monies spring up. But since it is a technology and currency is used to typically transact, I think it really bases on speed, price of the transaction, and also the tokenomics of how the obviously the inflation rate and everything else. And we're seeing this in fiat currencies right now, and that's having its detrimental effect on society. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. But I definitely agree, like, with your sentiment right now as far as how people's mentalities are. But yeah, I think that's going to shift in the future.
The inability to possibly comply with the tax code as written and the way it views it is also another thing. Like if I literally did all my business in Bitcoin and I spent Bitcoin for all my expenses, the tax nightmare, if I wanted to comply, is unbelievable because it came in here, it went out there. What's the spread? What's the, like, I'm sure there'll be accounting programs eventually that will manage all that for you and spit out a number. God, going through that audit. Like, I mean, you and I are people like we're OGs when it comes to crypto. We were using crypto when crypto wasn't cool yet, right? But as it gets more and more adopted by mainstream, you're not talking about anarcho-capitalism here, right? You're talking about fully compliant businesses, corporations, investment models, right? Chartered investment groups. And I think you do move into like how fast Bitcoin is. If I'm comparing it to gold, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, right? Like, because if I need to move $1 billion worth of gold from France to Germany or from France to New York, and I look at what that costs and how long that takes and how many guys with guns I need to like surround the airplane that I do that with, and I compare that to Bitcoin that's borderless, it's irrelevant. When I start talking smart contracts, rapid transactions and all, then all these other currencies kind of come in and fill their niches. Now, the other side of it is we don't need 9,000, 12,000, whatever number of them there are. Like, I don't think there'll be Erin coin, Jack coin, and Kingsley coin. Like, I don't I don't think that makes sense. I'm a
Wait, Erin Coin's gonna have a ton of utility.
It might, right? Like what y'all are doing makes sense because it's native to your community, right? And that makes it where it's seamlessly integrated and it's designed to serve the Float user base, right? But the advertiser, the content creator, the consumer, like that makes sense. And since you've developed it and you're developing something new for the platform, the fact that two people are in the same room, you can go fix this shit. That's really valuable too. But you know, how many Bitcoin forks do we need or whatever? I by the way, I classify myself as a maximalist light, like, which isn't a thing. I had to make the term up because like most superior thing long term, Bitcoin. Does it do everything? No. So we need some other things. So then all the maximalists hate you, right? And then all the people that think SHIB is going to moon and be worth $10 a coin someday, and they're going to be a quadrillionaire, like they hate you too. But like that's usually when you're being sane. When both sides hate you equally, you've kind of found a place in the middle that makes sense, I guess.
Yeah, I would recommend also maybe using the term shitcoin minimalist.
Shitcoin minimalist. From, all right, yeah.
Our friend started using that term.
Shitcoin. I like that term.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about a few other things. You guys have somebody on Float, Radio 8424, that I don't think I really got what was going on. But somehow it's set up where people can use some sort of technology to listen to Float on the radio in their cars. Can you explain what that's about, or do y'all even know? Or
I think that's Mark, who's been just a long-term supporter, great guy. Came to FloatFest. You can meet him yourself if you come to FloatFest next year, which you should.
I will be.
But I think Mark is always like trying to figure out what we have now and how he can add something without, even having us develop anything or figure out these different things. So he's been really instrumental in helping people, on board as far as set up streams and all this. As far as the radio is concerned, I believe I just spoke with Mark actually last week, and I believe that's just the Bluetooth connected to your radio with a float stream. But it does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. I just really didn't get it. I was wondering if there's something cool that I don't know about, we should talk about it. You mentioned FloatFest. I
would love to have some sort of Float pirate radio. Eventually.
And I think honestly that's what he's trying to create. He's just trying to create like a 24/7. So he runs a 24/7 stream channel. I know Rob Gibson channel has a 24/7 stream channel. Float used to have a 24/7 stream channel before we made Alex move to Texas with us.
Oh yeah, we gotta get that back.
And
Can you tell me how that works? Like, are people just recycling their content like reruns, or like? Because one of the things I get is when I right now we're on Float, we're casting on a Float, we're live streaming on a Float stream, and then when I'm done, it just goes, this stream's not available, and that video isn't there, right? It's on YouTube, it's in my backside of StreamYard or whatever. But is there a way that I could rebroadcast my content?
Yeah. So we actually we have a way, like we archive the videos right now. They're just not available for every user yet. So that will be a feature. But yeah, as far as like, we really like the idea of this like kind of 24/7 broadcasting, and you being able to create your own channel, or maybe Jack, maybe you have you allow your community to take some bits of your videos and put it into their own channel that will, promote and broadcast your message out. I have this kind of idea of some sort of calendar-like setup where you can easily drag and drop videos, audios, put ads in specific places just based on a calendar view, and be able to easily just, hey, let's recreate media. Because that's one thing that I miss with the current platforms like YouTube and others, is that when you think about, if you just want to watch a video or listen to something, there's a lot of, you have to think about like, what kind of content do I want to listen to? Who do I want to listen to? What specific video I want to listen to? And so there's a lot of thought processes into that. And one thing that I do miss from traditional TV, which is not many things, obviously, but is just the ability to turn on, Comedy Central or this or that. And maybe
channel surfing. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Maybe you're not going to like exactly what's on there at the time, but hey, obviously, since everything's digital, you can probably fast forward, rewind, and sometimes you just want to like just put something on. You don't want to have to like think about all these things that you have to what you want to watch and who you want to watch it from. So, and yeah, I think that's kind of like where the future is going as far as digital media is concerned.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that Studio 8424's main priority is, shifting that conversation to very like futuristic tech and like what we can, what I know Kingsley. Anyway, float casting, like what float casting can be. And so like, I really appreciate Mark's dedication to, just kind of helping us push forward and, get people streaming 24/7 and helping people set up streams without, streaming software, like he helps people figure out how to stream using Raspberry Pis and directly just through Float for nothing, because streaming software can get very expensive. So, yeah, that's kind of that story.
Yeah. He had the idea. I think both of us had the idea, like initially, for some sort of 24/7 stream of all these, content creators that are getting censored or deplatformed, and have a 24/7, informational channel or whatever they're going on, and just take each day when they do a video and put it up.
Yeah.
So I think I like that. And it's crazy. It's kind of cool. We don't have that many streamers on Float yet, but we do have quite a few 24/7 channels.
Right.
Even ones that are just like tracking crypto prices.
Yeah.
So if you have any questions, reach out to Studio 8424 on Float.
Cool. So one of the things, and we're going to kind of move into a whole bunch of things people say they want now. So this is where you guys are like, we're doing it as fast as we can. But, some of this may be things that you hadn't thought of yet, and it's easy to do. And some of it may be things that are already there and people just aren't aware that there's a way to do it like that, right? So I got to say it, even though we're not going to talk about it because we already did, but the number one most requested thing is groups. So just hit y'all at that again. One of the things I would like, and I've had quite a few people say the same, is I'd like to be able to follow hashtags.
Yep.
Which seems really simple. Now, I know you change one line, all the lines get altered. But to me, that would be like, I follow the hashtag Bitcoin on Twitter because it's about the only thing I'm there for anymore. And then irritating people and seeing if they'll throw me off. Like, is that something y'all are going to add?
I think absolutely. That's actually in version 1.
Okay.
I think that'll be live in Catamaran. I think that's a design that Alexander created like back in May.
Yeah. I really like that feature too. And then use it on other platforms. So yeah, definitely.
It's because like I'm into weird stuff like nano aquariums and stuff like that. So like I use that feature on Instagram to follow stuff like that because I don't want to follow every single person that does that. I just want to like see the stuff that they do that's about that. And to me, it's not even like somebody said, well, it's probably like a stopgap to groups when we were talking about it. I said, I don't think so because I want to follow a group for the things the group talks about, but I might want to follow something in the broader audience, and I think that would also encourage people to use tagging. Like, because I find a lot of times I don't tag my posts. And by the way, thanks for adding editing because that is so freaking awesome. Because then you're like, oh shit, I should have tagged that or whatever,
Right. Yeah, no, definitely. I agree. And I love that feature. So it's definitely
cool.
I guess we'll have to confirm if it's on V1.
I'm pretty sure it's under the new discovery page.
People have asked about being able to communicate with emojis and GIFs. We've built entire games on on Discord using GIFs. Like we built one called GIFs Against Huge Manatees, like coming off of Cards Against Humanity. And we actually play for our cryptocurrency and stuff on there. So there are some pretty creative things that can be done with that. They're not just for kids to mess around. And sometimes it's fun to answer somebody with a GIF. Y'all have any plans to do anything like that? I mean, I know the emojis work because I can drag them over from somewhere else, but there's no way to insert them or anything.
Yeah, we don't have an emoji keyboard or a GIF keyboard.
Yeah, it's something. Yeah, it's definitely something that we're considering. I'd like to make Float where it's not, too like crazy and animated,
Yeah.
But just kind of keep with simple and fluid. But yeah, definitely something that we've been discussing. No official statement yet. But
and if you do GIFs, you can't use Giphy Cat. It sucks. You got to get a better source than that. That's what we uses. That's awful.
Yeah, and I've noticed too. Like a lot of these GIF platforms are censoring as well.
Yeah.
So, what I think would be cool is to have it where users can they can basically upload their own GIFs or ones from the internet, and maybe attach it to a hashtag so that when you click on the float GIF button, it can populate and it can be based on community.
Cool. That would be cool. Like build your own library that way.
Right. Yeah, library.
You mentioned something about the comment threads, and I actually had something in there, so I didn't dig into it when you mentioned it, but like some way to like unnest or to show comments more cleanly, because what will happen is, I don't get a ton of engagement, but I'll get some engagement, and then I'll get one thing that starts to create this kind of response, and every single response has to be opened up anew. Like if there was some way to like branch that out, is that what you meant when you were talking about that earlier?
Yeah. So we're going to be fixing threading, and like I said, it's going to be we're really looking at Facebook and Twitter and trying to find the best solution. Honestly, I believe after doing a bunch of research into comment threading, no one really has it 100% right yet. But I really believe we're close to coming up with a more perfect solution.
And what we should do, honestly, like when we build out that functionality in testnet, we should give that. We should give Jack and we should give other, content creators basically access to that to test it and see exactly what their feedback is on, opening threads.
It's funny. Yeah. We need to. We've had like focus groups here and there, but we need to get a little bit more organized in regards to that. So yeah, that'd be great.
Any thoughts on some form of push notification?
Oh my God,
If
yes.
it went out by email, one thing that really is nice for me on YouTube is that I can send out a thing. I'm going to be doing this live stream next week, and they can go there and they can say, send me a reminder, or being hit with, because one of the limits you guys have chosen, and it makes sense, I'm totally behind it, is telling the App Store people to go screw. But what that means is that I don't get kind of the level of engagement on my mobile device that I would otherwise, where I see, so-and-so commented or something like that. So there needs to be some level of encouragement to keep the convo going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Push notifications. We can build that into our APK or even into the web app, as long as you allow it in the browser.
Okay. That's cool. Another one someone asked about, this kind of goes in the same world with the emojis and all, but not really, like HTML and posting, or some sort of like a WYSIWYG where we can do a little bit more formatting. You don't want to get too busy or anything, but it kind of would be cool to, especially for microblogging and what have you, to be able, maybe that doesn't need to be in the comments, but for the original posting to have a little bit more control over the way it looks.
Yep, absolutely. We just went over we were in what we call the Photoshop. We have a lot of like weird, like puns and stuff like that. And we're always talking about nautical puns. In our Photoshop team meeting.
That's our UI UX team.
Yeah. Our design team. They proposed that exact thing. So, like you mentioned before, we're looking at a lot of the different platforms and trying to, feel what we can learn and take from that and integrate into Float in a nice simple way.
This is the one that I think is most important, because you have so much information-rich graphics that get posted up, like infographics and what have you. Some form of image zoom, because somebody will post. Well, a lot of times they post stuff like that. I don't care, and then also say, "Oh, that's kind of interesting," and then you can't really see, everything.
I think that happens probably in the app. I use our web app more than anything. I use really just our app for testing. I prefer the web app, but absolutely. We have a lot of work in terms of these minor tweaks, but this is all good, great feedback.
And one of the things you guys did that I think is really cool is you allow people to post a thing and put it behind a paywall, or have like an ongoing subscription or something from users that can pay them in Bitcoin, and I guess eventually in float tokens, or maybe even other currencies.
Yep.
One of the things I thought would be really interesting, though, because, if you're on YouTube and like the guy has a membership, it's $5 a month. Well, okay, it's $5 a month. It's not that much if I really like this guy, but if it's 10 different creators I really like, that's $50 a month.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things the Brave browser does is allows people to say, I'm going to make this curated list of websites that are going to get paid based on how often I visit a month or whatever. And then it just takes all that money and just divides it up And I actually do fairly well with basic attention tokens sent into me from website visitors. So if there was some sort of like, I can make a list of certain content providers and I say, I'm willing to throw $15 a month or $10 a month or, how many Flokins a month or whatever into it. And then that just distributes monthly. And maybe now, see, I'm getting complicated, but maybe somehow some sort of like based on activity, like how many impressions or whatever I see of that. Because if the guy stops posting, I'm probably not going to want to support him anymore. I guess that's on me. But you know what I'm saying? Some sort of way that you can say like, I want to support all these guys and this is how much I can do it with.
Right. Yeah, no, that's interesting. I think I have that idea written down from a long time ago, but yeah, definitely interesting idea. The
like Substack's what got me thinking about that, because there's some really great writers on Substack, but I'm not paying 20 different writers.
Right.
And it's not because I'm cheap, it's because it's not practical.
Yeah.
But if I could curate my own group and say I'm contributing to this group, basically I'm making my own newspaper. Right. It's kind of what I'm doing. Like, and I'm willing to pay the price of the paper so that all of the editors get their cut or something. Just a thought. That could probably be on the like 2024 line,
That's an interesting
timeline. But
what we're actually implementing for V1 is like on post tipping. So if you're like scrolling the newsfeed and someone sees Jack Spirko's post and they really like it and, want to throw some float tokens at it.
Cool.
There's an icon that just you hit it, you put in the amount that you want to do or the amount you want to send, and then you actually submit it. And right before you submit it or shortly after, it asks you if you want to subscribe to that person monthly. So it's kind of like gives you like that add-on feature of like, okay, cool. Like if you really like my content, you can subscribe to, me at $5 a month or whatever.
Gotcha.
So that is something that's coming immediately, but I really like your idea.
Yeah, actually, I think we were discussing integrating that into some sort of like Float Plus membership.
Yeah.
Where if you paid, similar to like YouTube Premium or whatever, if you paid $10 a month for some of the benefits of Float Plus, we can potentially track your engagement with specific content creators that are.
Oh, cool. So then it becomes kind of painless, right? But like it's not really requires a lot of active participation on the side of the consumer, right? Like their natural interactions, but it would be a selling point that like, did you know $2 of your $10 monthly membership or whatever goes to support the creators you love or something like that?
Right.
That would, yeah. Like the more ways you can more ways to monetize, that would become like a catchphrase I would use as your marketing. If you want some unsolicited free marketing advice, more ways to monetize. Yeah. Because it is like, to me, I've always said, if I do the right things with my business, the money will take care of itself, but I still need the money.
Yeah.
Right. I got grandkids to raise now. I got dogs to feed. I got ducks to feed. I got a mortgage to pay. And, the platforms that allow me to monetize easily are platforms that I'll naturally, even if I love another one, it's where I'm going to spend more attention, because that's what we all do. And people that say they don't, it's like, those are people that always have jobs. And you're like, well, why do you go to work? It's not because you love it there. It's because you got to pay the bills. And
and that's always been a big part of, Float's strategy, as far as, technology that we're using, and as far as, being able to, reach out to content creators and say, hey, Patreon charges you, up to 12%. You can accept cryptocurrency and start bringing your community over here, and we don't take anything. It's, peer to peer. We're looking for ways to do even with share ad revenue peer to peer, where we take 0% for most ads that are tied to content. And tipping, obviously. So a lot of people don't know, YouTube takes up to 30% of your tip. And sometimes we have our friends that they'll get $100 tip on stream, but they will never show up. So who knows? So that's a big part of, especially, the power of crypto too, just connecting people, communities, and payments, I think is.
Well, I want to thank you guys for being with us today. Obviously, people need to get over to float.app and sign up and join on with Float if they haven't already done so. I'll leave it to you if there's anything else you want to make sure you say to people before we wrap up, though.
I actually have a question for you.
Sure.
So as you know, we have FloatFest coming up. It's going to be April 29th to May 3rd. And it's here in Texas. It's in a small unrestricted town in Gause, Texas. It's basically just a place where Float users can come and camp out for a couple of nights and meet other Float users and kind of trade value. And I wanted to know if you would like to come and speak.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm already committed. I keep hearing dates change. We're going to have to talk on these dates because my understanding was in March. And I was actually.
No, it was March. It was March this past year. But
okay.
Yeah, it's been scheduled for the last week of April.
Okay. We have a whole TSP contingent already coming. I'm celebrity chefing. I don't know what that means, but I'm doing it. So yeah, we're already committed as a group that we're going to be there to support. I'd love to speak. I've not been to the first one, so I don't know what it's like as far as your setup, your AV or whatever. But anything you guys want me to talk on, I am totally happy to do it. Okay, and cool. Let's, like I said, I was committed already because I was asked by my own folks to go do that. So
good.
They booked me for you.
Yeah.
Thank you, TSP community.
Yeah. Last year was this past year it was like phenomenal. Erin and the team like threw together in, what was it? 60 days. The year before that, we went to Pork Fest. We went to Jack Fest. We got married at Jack Fest, which is a camping thing in northern Arizona. And we really kind of like fell in love with this idea. Instead of just going to a conference in a building and it's, stuffy inside and the kind of, normal business rigmarole that you can't even do now. Actually, we did this kind of out of necessity because of what's going on. But yeah, I mean, yeah, FloatFest.
You're on 100 acres of just pure land, no electricity, and it's just camping. It's just you set up a camper or you set up a tent, or there's a hotel 10 minutes down the road if you want to stay. And but if your community is interested and if they're coming, it is free to vend. So there is like a gate fee. We're deciding what that is. I think it'll be probably like $25 a car, somewhere around there. But it's free to vend. So if you have merchandise or if you want to cook anything or if you are a coffee vendor and whatever it may be, just go to the FloatFest website. Sorry, I don't know. It's floatfest.com. And
I'll make sure there's links in the podcast notes.
And just scroll down and basically it gives you a menu where you can put in, sign up to get all the details as they're released for an attendee, a vendor, or a sponsor. And so if you're interested in any of those, just go through the website and subscribe.
Yeah, we
will do it.
We had a phenomenal time this past year, and I think next year is going to be even better.
How many days is it?
So it starts on April 29th.
Okay.
So what is that?
And then it goes until May 3rd.
Okay. So it's basically over a long weekend into a Tuesday. All right. Cool.
Great.
All right. That might actually work out because I was having to make a decision as to where to go. And if those dates work out the way I think they do now, I'll be able to do both of them. So that'll be cool.
Cool. Yeah, you can show up, you can show up for an hour if you want or show up
I like it's not that far, but if I'm coming down there, I'm coming down there and hotel 10 minutes down the road. That sounds like a plan.
I would say not a great hotel. Like camping is much nicer. You get the beautiful.
That's probably what I'm gonna do.
Sunsets. And the full experience. But there
not a courtyard or anything. Now, I did want to let y'all know you got two things out of this episode that are kind of unique and will never happen again. Number one, since tomorrow is the Christmas special show that's a rewind, you get the official last show of 2021.
Ooh.
And I know Kingsley's a military guy like me, and you probably noticed things like calibers. So this is show 3006. So that's about as classy as it gets to be show 3006 at the end of 2021, right? Like it's
nice.
I love
that. So I appreciate y'all being with us today. I appreciate, on that note, I appreciate you taking the time to be here on this week because this is a week where people are starting to tune out on life, right? As they should. Like, go be with your family. A lot of people take vacation all through a week like this, and that gives them a really long, they take 5 days of vacation and they get 12 out of it or something like that. So, man, I appreciate y'all taking the time to be here during this week. And congrats last week too on picking up the InfoWars interview. That's a big splash to be able to get out there and reach that broad of an audience. And keep on coming back. We will do whatever we can to help you. I reached out to you all this time, but don't think you have to wait for me to do that. If some cool shit's coming up and y'all want to talk, if either one of you want to come on solo, if you want to send a team member, we are wide open to you. You're one of the few folks that I will literally work in. I make everybody else go through the form funnel and everything and what have you, and they only get certain days. I'll work you guys in when not at a minute's notice, but as I can, I'll be happy to do it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. Yeah, and you're like just honestly one of our like favorites, and we really appreciate everything you do for us.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and thanks to everybody that joined us today in the live stream. If you're watching this on a live stream, you caught it toward the end, you can go back to the beginning, watch the video from the beginning, or the audio will go out about an hour from right now, this moment.
Hey, yeah, thank you guys.